Hey YouTube, thank you for tuning in. We are back with the Killer Comic Show Season 2, Episode 1. We had a nice break over Christmas, nice New Year, but we are back with the best comic reviews. We're going to try and be spoiler free. We're going to try and do it as best as possible, but I've got three fantastic guys waiting to come on. So without further ado, let's just bring them on. We've got the one and only Andy from Perpetual Comics. How you doing, mate?
What up, mate? How's it going? Well,
I haven't seen ages. It seems like
it's
only
been like 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it has been about 5 minutes. It has. It really has. And
we can't keep away from each other. We can't keep away from each other.
We was on someone called Tom from Not Quite Linked. We was on his stream. Has that top got bigger, Tom?
Yeah, it has, mate.
It has, hasn't it?
Stretching it whilst I was waiting.
I don't know who else. I've got someone else to bring on. I'm not sure who he is, but I'm just gonna. I'm a bit freaked out. I'm just gonna bring him on.
Oh, Ben!
Oh my God, there he is. Right, I'm just gonna.
Hello, Tom.
Oh, mate, that is horrible.
Oh no!
How freaky!
That's actually horrible, mate.
Is that?
Could have put that there.
How freaky is that, man?
Oh,
Tom, this was a special gift for you because I know how much you have a penchant for the clown.
Yeah.
And obviously this week is the week. So I thought I'd don the gear. I was going to anyway, let's be honest.
Yeah.
On a Thursday night.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you on a Thursday night?
Loo?
This is why he called for the toilet break. This was why.
I managed to do both at the same time, which was really impressive, to be fair.
That is a talent. How have you all been, guys? I mean, I guess we're all still in lockdown. We're all still getting on with lives and stuff. But I mean, it's great to be here with you guys. Seems like only 20 minutes ago that we was talking.
Yeah. Well, it was all right until that happened.
I know. Oh, come on, mate. That looks wicked.
Closer to the camera, Ben. Closer to the camera.
No. Not close to the camera.
Oh my God, that looks just insane. I've just took a screen grab of that. That looks wicked.
Oh no.
But
thanks for having us, Charlie.
No worries. The Killer Comic Show without a killer clown is kind of like bread without butter.
Wait, you call him Killer?
Oh,
yeah.
You know,
it's the friendly ones you got to watch.
Yeah, it is.
Charlie, how's your week been?
It's been manic, mate. It's been manic. Yeah. I've got like the kids homeschooling, trying to work at home, trying to do overlays like this and stuff. So it's been really, really busy.
WFH.
Yes.
WFH.
Who would have thought?
Working for
a year and a half ago, that abbreviation would have even been anything.
I know, but it is what it is. But Ben, I'm definitely going to jump. Well, we're here to review comics. I'm going to try and do it. I've had some feedback from season 1 saying that it was enjoyable to watch, but viewers had to switch off because there were spoilers and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and do it without spoilers. If you guys want to follow that, you can do. If you don't,
doth my ears precede me? Charlie is going to do an episode of Killer Comics without a spoiler.
I literally wrote down everything we're going to discuss tonight, and I can honestly say I don't think there's one spoiler in there. So I'm pretty pleased with myself. And I think, Ben, without further ado, I think we should just, as homage to you, I think we should jump straight in to Ha-Ha.
Let's not.
Guys, can we? How would we all do our? Can we go through our ha-has? Because Charlie's was quite sarcastic. Tom, give us your ha-ha.
Ha ha ha.
Andy, what you saying?
Ha-ha. Okay, the new.
Okay. That's my
jeez.
That is freaky. Horrible. So right, ha-ha. Number 1 is from Image Comics. It's from the fantastic writer W. Maxwell Prince, who obviously writes The Amazing Ice Cream Man. If you haven't picked that up yet, then I don't know why you haven't. We've all been in lockdown. Everyone's got an eBay account. Everyone's got internet access. You should have bought it. If you can't get the physical copy, read it online. And the artist and cover artist are Vanessa R. Del Rey. Where's he gone? He's totally messed up. it's because he don't like clowns. He's totally messed up my things now, so now I've got to put him back on.
I think this joke might have gone too far, and he's actually bottled it.
I think he has.
No, I'm still here.
But
you're a brave boy.
You are brave.
I'm trying.
Not quite a clown fan.
But yeah, the comic Ha Ha, it is great. What did you guys think of it?
I loved it. I'm quite new to the writer and creator. I think I did one issue of Ice Cream Man. I just didn't get on board with that particular story, but I completely see the appeal of it. You know, I think it's a real throwback, isn't it, to those old school horror books. You know, and that kind of Tales of the Crypt style storytelling and stuff. So I get it, but I haven't got it yet. But after reading this, I now get it. It was fantastic. It was so up my street. It was, you know, it was kind of funny without trying to be funny. It was funny in a kind of very dark, twisted way, which is right up my street. Yeah, again, trying not to spoil it. You know, I think the last few true story.
It's already happened.
I actually feel a little bit bad now. I thought it would be banter, but you genuinely have looked a little bit white in the face there, Tom.
You're all right, mate. It's the creepy, like friendly clowns. I'm more got a problem with. You're all right.
Clearly, I'm not working hard enough then. Anyway, guys, tune into Crime Watch tomorrow night. You'll see. But yeah, no, this was it was deliciously dark. The artwork was very kind of consistent, and I just felt like it matched the script well, in terms of, like, I felt like it would have, if we got that kind of superhero-esque artwork in this book, I don't think it would have married up well. So I think the artwork married up well with the writing, and yeah, it was just like brilliantly dark. It was a kind of irrelevant story, which was nice as well. You know, I think for me as a reader, I'm always reading, you know, Marvel, and it's like, you know, 50 years of continuity and stuff, and it's quite nice just to read something that kind of starts and finishes within you know, 10 minutes, and it doesn't have to mean anything else other than, you know, oh, I enjoyed that. So yes, short story, I liked it.
Anyone else?
To be fair, I didn't dislike it, but I found it uncomfortable to read, more for the fact that it was just a bit like, because of the story that's in it is uncomfortable to read. But I thought that was really well written, that it made me feel uncomfortable, but I wanted to read more, and I didn't like it, to be fair. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I've been really looking forward to this one. It resonated a lot. You know, it was kind of like a day in the life of Bartleby. You know, I think I put up on Twitter that Bartleby's my new spirit animal now after reading it.
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't put that on the internet.
Yeah, he's my new spirit animal. That's it. I think this is going to be one of the top books, 2021. I think it's like a deep dive into Bartleby's head, and it almost has a sort of insight into mental health. You know, everybody's going through the tough times. You know, he's losing his job and things like that without giving major spoilers. And I think it just gives an insight. And I came away from the book going, you know, you just had to stop and think about it. And then you kind of, you know, that kind of resonates with what we're all going through at the minute with the pandemic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I felt about it.
I mean,
I'll tell you one other thing that I liked about it. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Oh, his overlay's not working now.
I know. No, I was just going to say, I've managed to get the comic. I've managed to find it, and as you can see, like, it's a great comic. To be fair, like, it is. It's bloody awesome. The artwork is. I think there's 12 variant covers out.
Yeah.
Have you seen the 616 ones where it's Ronald McDonald?
Yeah, there's a Ronald McDonald one. There's a Donald Trump one.
That's the one I'm desperate
I know
for.
Ben was trying to get hold of. Yeah.
It's like 150 plus. in the UK. I'm gutted I didn't kind of snap that up when I should have, really.
There's also a Joe Biden one as well, apparently, and I think they put it up with the one for the president, and he said that the guy that wrote it basically had a fit and said take it down right now because he didn't agree with it. He didn't want a Biden one, so it's basically Biden in a clown suit. So you should go Google that, have a look. So yeah.
But I think it's true what Jeff is saying. It's very similar to Ice Cream Man. His writing takes readers into their psyche, uncomfortable, heavy, depressing, with a glimmer of hope. Now,
100%.
I only read I think 3 issues of Ice Cream Man, and then I kind of got sidetracked and didn't really pick it up. But this is only a 6-series mini. This is only a 6 mini-series.
But it's all single story, isn't it? Which is what I was going to say earlier. It's one of the beautiful things about it is that this one issue is one single story that really feels like a quite a good epic comic to read. Yeah, but you only have to read one. It's really good, very well written.
And I think
it's nice as a collector as well because I don't feel a pressure now to kind of pick up all 6. I can kind of read the book maybe online and go, okay, yeah, I like that one. I'm going to get that. Or if I read one that I don't particularly, like, I can skip it. So that's good. What do you guys think in terms of plagiarism? So for me, the one criticism I would say is that it just felt so similar to the most recent Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Ben, this leads me on totally to my next point. I've even wrote it down here. Readers will inevitably make comparisons between Bartleby and the Clown Prince of Crime.
Yeah. Yeah, and also similar, obviously that Joker was a kind of new one for fans, but even if you look at The Killing Joke, that version of the Joker's origins and stuff with the kind of failing comedian and stuff. So it definitely kind of, but for me as a Joker fan, that's not really a criticism because I love that stuff. And I love the idea of the tragic clown. And I'm going to get really highbrow with you guys now. So I did drama studies at university, which is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. But at the end of it, you basically choose your own kind of dissertation subject. And a friend of mine actually did the correlation between comedy and tragedy and how they kind of overlay. And it's just like, and he touched upon kind of clowns and sad clowns and things like that. So it's a really kind of, I think this is going to be really successful. I do.
I mean, I like, for me, the artwork by Del Rey is just the way that she kind of creates this dark and disturbing comic, but sheds like decent light on it. When, I mean, there is one part in it where tragedy strikes, and you can't help but be amused by it. In the way that it happens, you're kind of like looking at it thinking, wow, this is shocking. But then you're like, wow, this is taking me on a journey of this incredible artwork. And I'm kind of losing what I'm actually reading, like what has just happened.
I like the artwork that isn't perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, is a bit rough.
Around the edges. Because
I think this story, it's grim, isn't it? It's a grim life this man leads. So and again, it's so interesting, that kind of grim, dark, kind of scratchy style artwork, but mixed with the vibrant colours of a clown, and especially in those kind of final pages, you get a real kind of psychedelic feel, and that mixed with the dark kind of grim world that he lives in. And Andy, I think it's weird, isn't it? But like, it's almost like a bit of envy in those final pages. It's kind of like, it'd be so much easier, wouldn't it, seeing the world in that way? And again, I'm trying not to kind of spoil things, but the way the character looks at things is admirable, I think.
Yeah, I think he always tries to see the positive way. He tries to see the positive of everything, and you kind of end this book, and you think to yourself, what if tomorrow I wake up and I think like Bartleby, and everything's kind of a positive, and it's got a positive spin to it, and it's quite refreshing. It kind of makes you stop and think.
Yeah.
It was, and I think like Andy pointed this out. One of the homage pieces is on page 23. I'm not going to point out what one it is, but if you're a horror fan, if you're a fan of it, you will notice it. But
yeah, I've spotted it.
yeah,
that completely went over my head. I didn't spot that when I first read.
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it until Andy touched it, and then as soon as I got to that page, I was like, "Boom! It's it. I know exactly where it is."
Yeah,
Nice.
It was there, and I thought it was. I mean, I will love this comic. I think, like, for me, I didn't think it was going to be a comic that I was going to pick up. I was going to think, oh, right, I'm going to read this. I'm going to add this to my pull list, but I have added it to my pull list.
me too.
Very cool.
So going forward, this is going to be another one that's on my pull list. It's going to cost me a fortune, but I'm interested in seeing how it all pans out because it's going to be wicked.
I just wish there were some better covers out there. Like the Trump cover was literally the only cover that kind of drew me in. I would have liked some more variants or get Jenny Friesen on one or something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I just think it was a great comic. It's a shame that it's only 6 series, and Jeff just mentioned, he said apparently this ties in to issue 3 of Ice Cream Man.
Oh, okay, cool. Issue 2 looks as if it's like a female clown. It's going to be the center stage, so that looks really interesting as well.
But I mean, Jeff has obviously read the Ice Cream Man, and he's saying Ice Cream Man's narrative is weak, but that's a good thing. You can literally pick up any issue and not feel lost. Every issue is like a one-shot. Have any of you read Ice Cream Man?
No, mate.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's what I've literally only kind of dipped into one issue. I think it might have even been the first issue, and I wasn't overly keen.
Yeah.
I do enjoy Ice Cream Man. I haven't read all the issues, but I think that's a beauty. Similar to this, it's like one-offs that you can read them. But yeah, it's enjoyable. This is what made me pick this comic up, to be honest, because of the same writer.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was a great start.
This guy's at work but listening.
What
I
hero?
spent 5 minutes doing this makeup, and he's just listening to it. Unbelievable.
Al Strands, he's got the look. There is one person. Simon has said, "Great costume, Ben."
It's not
a costume.
Thanks, Simon. It's not really a costume, but you know,
this is work.
It is work. He's
To be
literally
fair,
that.
back in the day, I saw worse lippy jobs than this. I'm just saying.
Ben, you were saying about the covers for Haha. You should check out the Wanted Comics exclusive John Gallagher cover. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It might change your mind on the old covers.
But again, it's this variant life, and it's an expensive game. Because honestly, I was so ready just to pick up that Trump cover because historically, I thought, oh man, this is this is potentially quite an important cover for the time in which it's happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a clown cover of President Trump who's just been, indicted or whatever, and it is so impeached. Sorry. It's a shame that's so expensive.
But you know what?
Every
GP
issue
Venom
is supposed to be a different clown.
Yeah, GP Venom's just mentioned that, and next issue I think it's the Clown Rudy. Issue 2 looks like it's a female clown called Rudy. So I didn't notice that. So
earlier.
Thanks for pointing that out.
I'm hoping we maybe get some Harlequin vibes in that.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
That would be great. Jeff has said, I get the psychedelic cover. The Trump is the one to get, though. See, everyone's after this Trump. If there's anyone in the chat that knows a decent price is going, hit Ben up over on Instagram at Attention Seeking.
They need to second print that just to annoy the racists more than anything.
Well, I'm not being funny. If they're second printing future state, I'm sure they can do a few second prints of
exactly
Donald Trump dressed as a clown.
State second print.
Oh, the class,
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah. And it ties in with the rest of the Batman run, doesn't it? When we do the 1 in 10 variant covers. So, guys, I think that was a great start. What shall we do next? I know there was a few I put on the list to read. Anyone want to take a hit? We've got Serial, we've got Future State Dark Detective, Justice League 1, Planet of the Symbiotes, and I know Ben really likes Thunderbolts. So, who wants to go?
Go for Serial.
I didn't read Thunderbolt, so I apologise for that. I missed that one.
So we go for Serial, yeah?
Yeah, why not?
Let's go for Serial. So what did you guys think of Serial? It's another dark and disturbing comic.
It is.
Kellogg's or
Oh, was this on the list?
Yeah.
I did not see this on the list.
Oh no! Am I the only one that's read it then?
Yeah, I haven't read this either, guys. I'm so sorry.
No,
It was
but
on the
seriously, I'll tell you what. Sell it to me.
Right.
Right.
So, if you've
Go on.
ever read the comic Rachel Rising, this is the character from Rachel Rising, and she's Erica Slaughter on steroids.
Okay.
Jesus, that's quite.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah. So
You have me at Erica Slaughter.
I think this is
Quite an unsettling thing to hear. Erica
Absolutely.
Slaughter on steroids.
Yeah. Well, take a look at that cover to start with.
Yeah.
It is when you look in the pages, it's not what you expect. It's certainly not what I expected, because I was expecting full color, and I didn't realize that the comic was all black and white. I don't know if you've got a picture inside just to show the guys.
But did you notice, just touching on the cover quick, Andy, did you notice
Sure.
this? So Hill House Comics, Joe Hill, DC Black Label, this is very similar to Basket Full of Heads first cover.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, she's got the machete and she looks like she's just gone Billy O on a load of people. But one of the covers, look at this line work, and it's just insane.
That's the first page, and it's
That's
like,
the first
okay,
page.
I'm interested. What's this all about?
Yeah, but guys, imagine that in color.
Yeah.
Like, I just really struggle with the black and white thing. It always feels like half a job.
I did to begin with, Ben, and then I looked at it and I was like, is it really going to be like this all the way through? And then the more and more you progress, I was like, you kind of forget that it's in black and white because the story is so gripping. You're kind of like, you're seeing past that and you're kind of looking at the narrative and you're like, this is definitely going somewhere.
Well, to be fair, Steamboat Willie, I was worried I wouldn't get into that because it was black and white. And by the end, I was hooked. So.
But I mean, the writer and artist and cover artist Terry Moore, like, he's done some fantastic stuff. This is by Abstract Studios, and basically the premise of it, if I hadn't read the premise of it, I don't think I would have been a bit lost in the comic. And it's basically Zoe has been 10 years old for 50 years. Most of her life has been spent on the run, fighting the demon that lived within her, kept her young and turned her into a serial killer. Now the demon is free and is out killing people. So basically we now have a 10-year-old that is all kinds of pissed off and is set about killing this demon.
Yeah, that's the premise of Rachel Rising. So that's effectively what Rachel Rising's all about.
Do you know what that sounds similar to? The kid in Umbrella Academy, who's like an old man trapped in a little boy's body.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That sounds really cool. I might have to pick this one up and try it.
Honestly, it's a mini series. There's only 10 issues, and for me, this was one of the comics that you kind of, being a comic book reader, you kind of want to know what you're getting into because there are some taboo subjects in it. Without giving too much away, where there's a murder, there's a sexual assault, there's some in the first 3 pages. I'm not going to say who dies and whatever else not, but you're kind of hit with all this and these underlying subliminal messages straight away, and you're like, they're not holding back on this comic. It's the first one I've probably read in a while from Abstract Comics, to be fair. So I was kind of well up for reading this, and it just, I don't know what you thought, Andy, but I just thought like it was a pretty rough start.
It's the first comic since Seven Secrets that I finished the first issue, and I wish that hadn't have ended, that I wanted the next issue.
Seven Secrets is incredible.
The latest issue of Seven Secrets that just came out there is absolutely phenomenal. But the artwork for me was, it took me a little bit of getting used to. The fact that it's black and white as well took me a little bit getting used to, just because I'm not used to reading black and white comics. And some of the subject matter was quite heavy hitting. See a little GP. Some of the subject matter.
This is the second page in, and you kind of like already think you know where this is going.
Yeah.
And then a total curveball is thrown, and you're not. It's definitely. I mean, if you don't like black and white comics, I'd suggest reading it, Ben. It's such a great comic, and if you liked Ha Ha, and I would say this is
If I send you an issue, will you colour it in for me and then send it back?
Yeah, listen, yeah. I can't tell you I'd stay in the lines, but
Using crayons.
yeah,
Paint by numbers.
definitely. I'll try that for you, and I'll even get my kids to do it as well because they're probably better at colouring in the lines than I am. Hey Phil, thanks for joining, mate. We are literally on the second comic. It is serial number 1, and it's I mean, for me, the black and white artwork is pretty amazing, and this dream sequence. I mean, look at the artwork on the detailing on this is just insane for a black and white comic book. The detailing on it is pretty decent.
Yeah.
But this scene here, this is just something out of it reminded me of I Hate Fairyland.
Yes. Yeah.
It's I Hate Fairyland, like the way that she just goes absolutely mental. And
there's one particular cover for I think it was for Philadelphia potentially that Scott Young done, and that's what it reminded me of, is that character.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, for me, if I'm being honest, it's got touches of The Outsider, the TV series The Outsider. Have any of you seen that?
Nope.
So it was on, I think it was on HBO Max or one of the channels, and it's incredible. It is by Stephen King, and it's a really great. It's similar to the premise. It is like there's a demon that's kind of attached itself to someone, and it ends up getting off this person and going on a mad killing spree, and someone's got to try and rein it back in. But yeah, it's kind of like this comic, if you like your Law and Order with like your murder mystery and stuff, setting all up for that. This would be a pretty decent comic to get into. As I mentioned, I haven't really read much from abstract comics, and this was one of them that I kind of really enjoyed.
I'll give it a go, mate. I mean, what I like about it is the black and white bit of it, because if you said it's an uncomfortable read, but it's a bit like Erica Slaughter on steroids, it sounds like it's going to be uncomfortable, but doing it in black and white is going to make it more uncomfortable, which is probably one of the things that makes you want to read it. Yeah.
I mean, I was confused. Like to begin with, there's a scene where you think you know what it's doing, and all of a sudden it cuts to something, and you're like, "Is this the same person?" So you're constantly reading it, thinking, "Hold on, have I missed something?" And I found myself going back over the first 3 or 4 pages, thinking, "Hold on, have I missed something there?"
Yeah.
And then you go forward, and it is a really, really good comic. It's definitely, if you're into your horror genres, like I wasn't until like the start of last year, where we had like Hill House Comics and stuff like that. I wouldn't have even touched this with a barge pole. But it kind of eased me in for probably one of the most uncomfortable reads of the first 3 pages of a comic book in a very long time.
I think this comic will go under the radar for quite some time, and then I think probably by issue 2, 3, 4, it'll really pick up, and then everybody will be chasing the first issue.
I mean, for me, I think this, in my opinion, it's probably a comic that would be better read as a trade paperback. Because I think the way that it pans out, the way that it keeps flipping characters and stuff like that, you could lose interest in it pretty quick. But I think if you've got the book there to read every single page straight off, it's going to be more interesting. But yeah, so Tom, Ben, I would definitely get into it.
Get on it.
Let's get into it.
Up next, who wants... What we got? We've got Dark Detective, Justice League, Planet of Symbiotes, or Thunderbolts. Who wants to go next?
Thunderbolts. What are you saying?
Thunderbolts.
What are you saying?
So Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Let me pull. I know Ben really enjoyed this. Comic.
I did indeed. It was my read of the week over at Attention Seeking Geek.
Nice.
Copyright, trademark. This was everything the Suicide Squad meant to be, but didn't quite get there. So you've again trying to kind of keep it spoiler free, but Kingpin basically serves as the Amanda Waller now, where Kingpin's obviously kind of playing this role, isn't he, of the good guy and within politics and everything like that. He's manipulated the system and got to where he wants to be now. So this is a group that he's pulled in to kind of go out and try and kind of sort the situation out, because you know, it's all kicking off with dragons outside. And he's assembled this team of supervillains, kind of, I'm trying to be kind, but I would say C-list at best.
At best.
Yeah,
That's maybe quite harsh on a couple of them, but and you know, he's told them like, you know, you need to show your faces and you need to act like heroes because you are now kind of representing me, and you know, so that as an opening premise alone was just fun. And I think the choice of characters was really clever. You know, I think you've kind of got a few of those household names like Rhino and Taskmaster, maybe Batroc the Leaper at a push, but the rest of them are, you know, are comprised of real, you know, I mean, even I had to go and have a look on the Marvel Wikipedia, you know, and refresh my memory for a few of them. Yeah. So, you know, that alone was a kind of fun premise, and ultimately what that then means is that they're expendable. So I think so often you read comics and you just kind of know nothing really bad is going to happen.
Yeah, especially in Marvel.
Yeah, to the character that you're supporting, or even if it does, you know, they'll probably come back. But with this, you know, you genuinely feel like if that's it, then that's probably going to be it. So it just kind of plays out in that really fun kind of Suicide Squad-esque way. And yeah, I just thought it was a riot. You know, some of the characters that I wasn't too familiar with, I came out of the book, you know, as a fan. I was like, yeah, I'm going to look into this guy, you know, so that was brilliant. And I am a bit biased because I'm a massive Kingpin fan. I'm a big Rhino fan. I love Batroc the Leaper. So I was like, already, I was just like sold on the premise. And yeah, I think the artwork is really nice. And I think, dare I say, it's one of the first King in Black tie-ins that's like a proper King in Black tie-in.
Yeah.
You know, the King in Black is kind of playing in the background, and this is happening simultaneously, you know, and a lot of the other books that's not really happening, or it's not quite clear when it's happening and things like that. And this one can kind of take place, and it doesn't, you know, it's not really in the scheme of things going to kind of affect the bigger picture. Yeah. Or it might, I don't know, I might be proven wrong, but Donny Cates might have a plan to kind of bring these guys into the main title. But I just think it was a hoot.
I mean, I just love the fact that to start off with, Fisk just turns around to him and says, like, we've either got to save the city or die trying, or just die. So he really doesn't care about him. He's like, he's got to where he needs to get to. He's going to do all he can. But I mean,
one of them sort of says that they want out, and he's like, that's fine, no problem.
Yeah.
Turns out, you know, it wasn't the best decision to make. Again, I won't spoil things for names and stuff, but I just found that hilarious.
I thought it was great, and the artwork was done by João Ferreira.
Yes.
And this is like this for me. This image here looks proper like a King in Black, like it's come from the main title. We've got the dragon flying in the background. I guess that's the Empire State Building in the background, I assume.
It's nice to see what the events of King in Black have done to the wider picture. Yeah. You know, it's almost like that's King in Black.
Yeah.
And Thunderbolts takes place here. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you're kind of expanding that picture now. And, you know, a lot of the other books haven't really done that for me yet. Yeah. Maybe Ghost Spider at a push, the whole Mary Jane thing. I don't know, have you guys caught up with that yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Again, spoiler free.
I mean, I haven't read this one, but I've heard good things about it. And like you said, it's the only one so far that's actually tying in at all. But I originally read the, is it Symbiote Spider-Man? Because it was like, it's a tie-in. Yeah. It has nothing to do with it at the moment at all. Like, it's not been a tie-in. And
I'm a bit confused by the whole Symbiote Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
Does that take place in the past? And this was like an untold story, right?
No idea, mate.
I mean, I kind of touched on it and was like, I was just confused.
Yeah.
Like, in total. But for me, like this one and what was the other one? Planet of the Symbiote.
Charlie, can I just say on keeping up the non-spoiler situation. Good work.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. It was my New Year's resolution.
Here's a death.
Did go well.
But this one and Planet of the Symbiotes, I think, are the two best ones that have tied into King in Black so far.
Have I read
Like-
Planet of the Symbiotes? What
Symbiotes.
was that this week? Planet of the Symbiotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on the list. I know that
Is
one's
that
on
the one
the
with? That's the one with screaming.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
I mean, this here, I quite like this crossover type of thing because obviously we've got Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist,
The Defenders.
the Defenders.
Yeah.
They're all kicking butt, and then you've got our C-listers just sitting behind a car having a face, thinking, yeah, we'll wait till this blows over, and then we can kind of pretend we've got stuff to do, and then what happens? They all end up at
But that whole thing was great. It was like, they probably wouldn't want to see us.
yeah.
So we'll just be, and they literally like don't get involved at all, and it's just like a great kind of like, you see Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be cool. And ultimately, they just go and walk away, which was funny to me. And again, seeing those three heroes do the groundwork,
Yes.
That's cool to see because not everyone can be sat in their stark ivory tower kind of working out the politics of Krakoa and Namor and whatnot. This is cool to kind of see people struggling actually with the situation, so I enjoyed it.
I mean, have you all been reading the tie-ins for the whole King in Black?
I've been trying, yeah. The Union was hard work.
See, I didn't get that. I read the first one thinking, oh, this is going to be kind of great, like, the English superheroes and stuff. And then for the last page, that's it. That's all you see. So I don't know if Union 2, which came out this week as well, was going to tie in much more. But
Yeah, it did. It did tie in a little bit more. I will say that. But yeah, still, and obviously the Submariner stuff hasn't tied in at all. And
that Namor story is just not tying in.
No, it's not at all.
No, I think it's the thing, isn't it, with Marvel events sometimes, they plaster King in Black in the corner and, you almost feel a bit duped sometimes as a fan because you're like, well, I bought it or I put it on my pull list for this reason.
Yeah.
And, I'm not getting that. So it's almost like mis-selling a little bit, I think, sometimes with tie-ins and stuff like that. And, we don't necessarily need it. I think if you can be clear on that front page that this takes place before or after the events of, whatever tie-in it is. And then the reader's like, okay, that's fine. Okay, and then you have your story.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes just so unclear and wishy-washy. I did like did you read Sword #2?
No, not yet. That's on my my next read. So
that was pretty cool. And again, it was kind of going in the right direction of being more of an actual tie-in. So that was okay. But I just think this was just, really well written, like genuinely one of the funnier comics that I think I've read in a long time. I think it's quite hard, isn't it, to lol when you're reading a comic. Like I don't lol that much at anything, surprisingly. But this comic, I chuckled, to myself out loud a couple of times, which was great. And fantastic artwork. That artist commented on my Instagram post.
Nice.
And made my bloody day.
What a legend.
I must admit, I probably wouldn't have read this if it wasn't for coming on this show, to be honest. I having read it, I enjoyed it, but some of the other tie-ins feel like it's almost like the future state of King in Black.
Yeah.
It's just irrelevant and unfunny. It's like, the Gwenom one, which we'll probably talk about at some point. It was just, when you read Haha and then you read Serial and then you read, some of these tie-ins, it's just a kind of a meh. And the artwork I thought kind of a little bit different to you, Ben. I thought the artwork for the buildings and the backgrounds was cool, but when it got to like some detail on the characters, I thought it just lost me a wee bit. I thought it was pretty strange. I read it digitally, so zooming in and having a good look at the artwork, I wasn't really.
You're telling me the Kingpin did not look fantastic?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I compare Bill Sienkiewicz's Kingpin to every other Kingpin, so it doesn't beat his. But no, that was the one thing I did enjoy, the first page, and then it kind of lost it for me. But I did.
It wasn't that consistent. That's the only thing I think. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that was one of its strengths, because for me, I kind of loved that it kind of broke into like stylized shots of like, someone got their head chopped off and that one panel was, a silhouette rather than being in the same style as everything else. So I think that inconsistency kind of served it well sometimes as well. But I see your point.
It gave the best representation of what the outcome of this is. What is he saying? Andrew's a big fan of architecture. Right.
Because you were talking about the buildings in the background, and you said the art was amazing.
About the art, and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's the best representation. Art, for art. It's the best representation of what the outcome of the whole King in Black thing is, because it's hard to represent black goo, I guess. Yeah. But I thought they done really well.
Like when the whole King in Black thing started, I was like, there was a massive thing about King in Black, and I thought this is going to be great. The main comic is a decent read. I know James will say something different, but it is a decent read. And I just thought, with all these tie-ins, is it going to be like Empire? Is it going to be like what was the other one they did? The massive one that was about 5 or 6 different issues every week. It was done by Russell Dalterman. No, it was the Avengers one. Oh, can't remember.
World War II.
No, I don't know. Tom, you should know this. Come on. It was like it was all the Avengers, and it was the massive tie-in.
Empire. Or
there was that one.
Swords.
Was it War of the Realms?
Oh, with them on Thor.
Yes, with like War of the Realms and stuff like that.
I quite like War of the Realms.
See, I liked that. I did like it because it literally got straight to the point, and the tie-ins weren't as many. But with this, I'm not even going to bother touching on Gwenom versus Carnage because that was shocking, right? But you see what I mean? The tie-in for that is just unrealistic. It wasn't even needed. You got the Namor Star tie-in that's ridiculous. It's not going anywhere. But Thunderbolts and Planet of the Symbiotes, for me, were the best 2 tie-ins of the King in Black run so far.
Yeah,
because they're exactly that. They're tie-ins, or at least they feel like they could tie in. The Gwenom story, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like there's any possibility that Johnny Cage will include that arc within the main series. Whereas this, I genuinely, in the back of my head, think at some point there might be a moment with the Thunderbolts in the main series. You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, with Planet of the Symbiotes, you genuinely feel like Scream potentially is going to pop up at some point and things. So, tie-ins should be tie-ins. If we can all learn one thing, children,
this is our takeaway.
Tie-ins should be tie-ins.
Yeah.
And did any of you read Planet of the Symbiotes?
Yes, mate. I definitely read that one.
Right. So, Tom, you are...
Tom's arrived. Hi, Tom.
I'm here.
Tom's awake now. Right. Here we go, sir.
Great cover that.
This was, honestly, I thought this was great. And this is the first one where I properly thought it tied into the main comic.
Yeah. Yes. Because you kind of get an idea of what Noel is kind of doing in the background, not just trying to find Dylan and Brock. He's basically trying to like take over the world, as it were. Well, he has. But, like, this is kind of a cool. He's just basically trying to find the worst of the worst. I like that.
But this contained 2 stories. So obviously it's the King in Black tie-in, but also Scream features on it as well. So Scream's obviously the first part
as well.
Yeah. And this was pretty freaky to begin with. You've got like the 3 symbiotes down at the bottom. You've got this kid scared to death because his mum and dad have just been killed in the front. And then out of nowhere,
the one thing I did think to myself is like, where were they going? Like, why did they get in the car?
Yeah.
Where were they? Do you know what I mean? Essential trips only.
Yeah.
And they've got in the car, and look where it's gone.
Do you think Noel's COVID?
I think it might be one big, symbol for that, maybe.
Oh my God, could you actually imagine?
Donny Cakes has called COVID years ago.
The thing is, if COVID looked like a symbiote, it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? To avoid or to know if you've got. We can only dream.
Yeah.
But I mean, what did you guys think of the artwork on this? I really liked it.
I thought it was good, and I think I liked it because it was gritty. And I guess the story they're telling with Scream, with the parents and this child, and the fact that all the lethal protectors all get together, it's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be a little bit like hard to read. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a hard watch.
This reminded me of something out of the Resident Evil film where they all come together.
Which was a terrible film.
It's very John Carpenter's thing, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Scream looks totally different. She kind of like, I mean, I didn't read the Scream comics when they came out. I couldn't really get into it. So
when was her last run? Does anyone know when her last?
She did do one last year. I swear it was last year.
Yeah,
there was one last year.
So does she serve as like an anti-hero in that then? Because that was the one thing that threw me, is that the last time I knew Scream, is she certainly wasn't this kind of anti-hero
It's
type
a different
character.
host, mate. It's a totally different host this time around.
Right, okay.
There's I think it might happen in Absolute Carnage.
Absolute Carnage. Yeah.
There's someone who's got like a Venom symbiote, and she loses her Venom symbiote or her codex, and then she ends up with Scream.
Right.
But she's a good guy.
Hard to keep up with these symbiotes, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
But I mean, this was Scream. This was kind of like the aperitif to join, like to get you going for the second part of the comic, which I thought was actually the worthy read of it. And again, it ties into Ravenscroft, so we see that in Thunderbolts. There's something going to happen now. I mean, there was like the ruins of Ravenscroft, which came out last year. So there was a big floor around that, and it all looked pretty good. These two comics are tying back to it, and as we see here, like it's at the start of, it's at the entrance of Ravenscroft. There's the big King in Black venomized dragon that's all coming into it, and we kind of see, yeah, I know, and like one of the guards has got the symbiote pattern on his hand, and he's kind of like just opening up shit. And then next thing we know, this is why I said this was probably one of the best ties, because there he is.
Yeah.
There's no, and I think this is the only and I think this is the only tie-in that he's actually appeared in. I might be wrong.
No, I think it's probably right there, mate.
Because I was just like, I've read all the other ones and I've skimmed over them, like the few stories, but this one, I was like, oh, who is that in the casket? Who is that? And then we find out it is. I don't want to give away anything. I'm trying to be good.
I was going to say, you can't help yourself.
I was going to say, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've already done spoilers on all the others.
He's like, must spoil.
But that's why this is the last page. This is the last one that I put up for this comic, because I didn't want to give away any spoilers. But I honestly,
it's a great plot point. It's a big plot point, isn't it? Who is there, and what Null is planning to do with him.
From a speculation point of view, I think this comic will be hot eventually. Maybe not at the moment; it might go under the radar. But I think he's going to have a huge. The Undertaker.
Oh my God, Phil! Can you imagine a venomized Undertaker? How amazing would that be? Tom, get on it.
Yes, mate. I'll do it.
That would be great.
Let's do it.
Just a venomized series of like all wrestlers, like venomized Stone Cold. Oh my God, this is a whole thing.
But I mean, I think with this, look, who's that? Boing. Is that meant to be Boing or Bonin?
Or Boning.
Or Bong.
Is the Undertaker Bong?
Yeah.
I think with it something in this.
Yeah.
Oh, and James just said, I believe Scream is now the girl who used to be the Mania symbiote that was hanging out of it. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one I'm thinking. I just couldn't remember her
Hanging
name.
out with Eddie.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
But she's,
I mean, everyone that hangs out with Eddie gets hurt, so
she's handled herself 10 times better than Eddie ever would. Like against all them symbiotes that came on.
yeah.
But I reckon if you liked Web of Venom or Scream, I definitely think you'll like the dark and grittiness of this comic.
Yeah.
And I just liked it because it was a direct tie-in, and the way that it ended, I can see things progressing onto that.
Yeah.
It's better than Venom 31, where he's falling for the whole issue.
I think, if
26.
anything, I felt like it was a bit strange that it wasn't in the main book.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the way that they
I mean,
touched
for
on it
me,
in
it's
Black
like
One.
if you're just reading the main book and say, for example, in the next issue, what happens in that comes into that, I'd be like, wait, hold on. So I missed something.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be right, miss.
Yeah.
I didn't miss something here because I'm the best Marvel fan there is.
You know,
Even though I didn't know who Scream was.
when we were talking earlier, we were talking about the Thunderbolts thing. Andy, you mentioned about how like all these other publishers are doing like much more excitable books to read. I just want to touch on that. Like me and Charlie and Ben talked about this. I actually think the independents are doing so much better than the DC and Marvel stuff at the moment because they just keep shitting out these events that are so poor or like not quite what you want, but they have such rich kind of like vault of characters and stories they could use. Why they don't break the mold more often?
It's because they're under probably so much constraints because it is DC and it is Marvel, and they probably had to go through about 5 or 6 different editors to actually before it gets published. Whereas the likes of Terry Moore, it's his Abstract Studios, it's his. You can do what you want. Boom Studios, you know, you spoke to Ross Ritchie, the both of you guys have. So you know that there's freedom there for those guys, and I think there's just because whenever the list was sent through, the first 2 that I went to was Serial and Haha. And I think that's kind of a testament to the way things are in comics at the moment.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Every time I go to, pick what I want, I always go Boom and IDW. Always.
Yeah. And when I first started reading comics again, I was always like Marvel and DC. And then Boom come onto the scene. I'm like, well, hold on, this is totally turning my head. This is what I'm getting into now. And in fact, Ben's kind of done the same with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Something is killing the children. It's easily done. But it's done in the right way because their stories are more intricate. The character stories are more involving, and you kind of find yourself reading.
I think
the comics.
I'm one of the last. Sorry, Charlie. I just think I'm one of the last like guys in our community or circle or whatever you want to call it, cult. That is really trying desperately to hold on to those reins of like Marvel and DC and things, and even me, I, as you say, Charlie, I am starting to like, it's almost like that meme, isn't it, where the guy's walking with his girlfriend.
Marvel
and
DC
it's indie comics that is walking past. So and I think how much I loved Thunderbolts is almost, it explains why I love Thunderbolts, because it involves some characters that they have no legacy really, so you can kind of do, as much as you want with them, because they've not got that much history. It's not like there's a massive fan base that you have to please. You don't have to go to 3 different editors or Marvel bosses who say, no, you can't do that because Disney Plus are going to do a series in 4 years. And, so it means that the writers can kind of do more and have more fun with the characters. And I think that's why I'm starting to get more drawn to, those characters. And ultimately, that's why I love Howard the Duck.
Don't we all? Don't we all? The worst thing I done was the first comic I read was 7 Secrets as part of my list for this week. So I went from the latest issue of 7 Secrets to Gwenom versus Carnage. And I was like, what is going on? You go from a high of 7 Secrets to Gwenom versus Carnage, and it put me off. It just put me off. I don't want to read any more of this. It's rubbish.
Is that my next convert then, guys? 7 Secrets.
100%.
I don't know if Charlie, it was in Charlie's video for his Ross Ritchie, but on, I think it's our episode 3 or 4, Ross talks about how out of all of the Boom Studios things, when everyone says, "Oh yeah, I love Something's Killing the Children," and I love We Find Them When They're Dead, he keeps saying, "But have you read Seven Secrets?" Because
Seven Secrets is
very special about it.
Seven Secrets is better in the 7 issues than the whole of Something's Killing the Children. That would be my opinion.
I would agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, there's so much more character involvement in Seven Secrets. Seven Secrets, Ben, is your next thing to get into. Like, it's fucking insane.
Cheeky plug, I have
Not Quite Mint.
My website on notquitemint.com.
Sorry, Tom, I'm just going to
bell. Something out of bell. Quick.
Tom, I'm just going to mute you,
There's
mate.
things
Sorry,
in
mate.
life that are inevitable, okay? Death, Charlie spoiling comics, and Tom plugging Not Quite Mint.
And if we get all 3 on one show, to be fair, I actually did think Tom was going to die when he see you, Ben. That was a highlight of that.
Do you know what? I think we should. If you can you download this afterwards? You should just click that one bit out and just meme the shit out of it.
But yeah, I think, like, let's be honest, like, some of the times are shit. Like Gwenham, don't even bother reading it because it's shit. I think we've got another convert in here. May need to read Seven Secrets instead of just looking at the.
Do you know what? It felt quite childish, I'd say, that Gwenham. Like,
it was shocking.
Quite childish.
Like, she goes into a frat house and then all these symbiotes come in and, like, it was literally so stupid. And then the end of it was just pathetic. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't enjoy it. It was a waste of 11 and a half minutes of me reading. Didn't like it at all.
I'm going to slightly shoot myself in the foot because I'm a huge J. Scott Campbell fan, right? But I always find that when he does like a cover or like there's loads of really cool artists on a book, it's normally a terrible read. And they've put the artists on those covers just to sell it.
Yeah. I reckon it is. And, like, there are some decent covers out there. Like, Tom, I know you've got a few coming up on Not Quite Mint from David Nakayama. And he has done, like, David Nakayama has done some great covers for it, but I think the cover artwork is better than the actual comic. Like, the comic's shocking. I didn't like it at all.
I want to say Harlequin Future State was like that. Those Harlequin covers for Future State and the character design is beautiful. But the book plays out like a bad anime. Like, I really was let down by that. I'm coming to get you, Mr. Tetchbot.
See, I really like the Harley Quinn. I thought it was going to be shocking, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you like all that, like, bad anime stuff, don't you? He loves, staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching weird Japanese schoolgirl stuff. Like,
I don't pay for my subscription for that no more, so I don't do it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Mr. Techbot is now under his desk.
What?
Is now under his desk or your desk?
I was sure.
Wait, whose desk? Wait, I'm so confused.
But talking about Future State, I think it leads us quite nicely on to probably the strongest Future State read so far. Well, that was a perfect segue. That was like Jonathan Ross-esque. It is Justice League. Now, I thought this was a strong read. Again, this was a 2-story part, so I think it was £5.47, or it might have been $6.99. It was more than your normal average comics, but you get 2 stories for the price of 1 in it. I was pretty impressed with it. I know Andy liked it. Did you two? What did you two think of it? The other two?
I really liked it. I'll tell you what I did notice straight off the bat when I picked it up and started reading it. They've changed the cover because the Batman had a faceplate on the original artwork.
That's right. Yes, you're right.
Yes, was it a silver faceplate?
Yeah, silver faceplate.
Yeah.
Faceplate away, so you can see who he is, obviously. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. I liked the story. I liked that you got the Legion of Doom to start with.
Yeah.
And what happens with them, and then you kind of get a little bit of the snippets of this. You can't really do this without spoiling it, can you? That's hard. Yeah, really good read, I would say. A nice, refreshing style to the Justice League, because they're all they're all massively different to their counterparts.
Yeah.
But they're all quite kind of similar, if that makes sense. I liked that they brought the Green Lantern lady from Far Sector, because that's a fucking great read.
Is her name Joe? Is it Joe or Joy?
Joe, yeah.
Joe. But Phil, are you referring to the comic variant? Because the variant of this is the Cal Engu.
Yeah, it is stunning. Love this.
Where can you get that variant?
It's just the cardstock variant, mate. It's cover B.
Yeah, cover B.
So you should be able to get it from your local comic shop. Or once I get my Diamond subscription, you can get it from me.
Did any of you notice? Obviously, Wonder Woman 1984 came out like 3 weeks ago. Is anyone getting sick and tired of all these Wonder Woman variant covers yet?
No.
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
I'm all over it. I'm a sucker for those variants. That's half the reason why I've got into Future State and been reading it, is because of those variant covers. It's been pure cover buys for me.
Did you get the J. Scott Campbell one, mate? Which for I think it's next Batman.
I got ordered the Eternals J. Scott Campbell cover.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool if you've not seen that. I think he's launching like a Virgin variant of it as well. So.
Oh, sweet.
But this cover for me I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And even this, like the overview of like telling who the new characters are. So we've got Jonathan Kent.
I love that. I thought that was great. I spent a good while having a look at all that, and zooming in just to see if there was any like spoilers or anything that you weren't supposed to see. I have a feeling
this is what Tom's table at home looks like, with all the not quite mint issues that are coming in, and he's like, "Oh, what one should I take?"
This is what my brain looks like.
Charlie, can I provide a voice of negativity?
Okay.
Just to juxtapose you idiots. I hated this, and I'll tell you for why. I think we discussed it on Not Quite Mint stream earlier this evening, but for me it suffered exactly the same issue that a lot of the Future State stuff did, and it jumped into the story at completely a weird point. And for me, I think this is such a cheap plot device way of like trying to kind of like explain who the characters are, when really what you need is kind of 3-4 pages per character to kind of give them the time to say where they are or whatever. And it's almost like we spoke about Suicide Squad earlier, but that Suicide Squad film, the first one, does it. It's like a GCSE movie project where they kind of say, here's Tom. He's from Not Quite Mint. His T-shirt doesn't quite fit. And goes through like the characteristics. And it's just like, and because after this, it jumps into it. And I just, for me, as I said, I wanted to have my hand held a little bit, and I was ready to kind of do that. And Justice League did have a series a while back that I think did quite well to do that. I can't remember.
But I think this page
was it Bendis, Brian Bendis? Did he do Justice League recently?
It was Bendis, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the way that he introduced you to Justice League, but this
page here, I think this page kind of does that in a brief way. It introduces like all the new members, but I think it could have done 2 or 3 pages on each of them.
So I mean, it's too brief, and I didn't even know, to be fair, until tonight, and speaking to people more knowledgeable than me, like Andy, not you two up there, but I didn't know that these books were only going to be 2 books or whatever per title, and I just think that was
me that said that.
Look, all right, this makeup took me 5 minutes. All right,
it was me. All right, stop clowning around and get your name right.
It stings, and I sometimes make mistakes. Okay, but anyway,
I totally get what you mean. I totally get what you mean.
I give you somebody piece on that one, Ben. I totally disagree. with what you just said. I think they give you just enough to whet your appetite in that first panel about each character.
And I'll be the counterpoint of that. I probably won't read any more of this after reading this issue. I enjoyed it for what it was, but again, it's hard to when you're comparing that against the other books that were on the list for us to read. And it introduced me to all those characters via kind of a pissing all over the other Justice Leagues that have been there. What I did enjoy about this book was the second story. That's what got me, because it had Demon in it. I bought in as soon as. But the first couple of pages was cool, and the fact that it went from that table to this guy here, and he's kind of then swiping it away, and then it kind of lost me. And some of the writing was, I thought, pretty poor as well on this.
Very wordy, like really wordy. You know, because
my explanation of the book.
No, but like, I think now that I know, right, these titles are only 2 books or whatever, I would have just done like a kind of moodscapey thing for this whole event. You know, make the books almost feel like a music video. Do you know what I mean? And kind of just show you what that future state could have looked like. You don't necessarily have to like tell these like intricate stories. Tom, look what you've made me do. I had to put this back on now.
My main concern with this whole future state thing is it going to be a flash in the pan? Is it just going to happen, end, and then we go back to Batman 106?
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's just, I mean, it's just, well, obviously, like the last one up on the list is The Dark Detective. Now that kind of, I liked it because it's got a good character in it. Like I know Ben loves Clown Hunter. I'm more of a Grifter fan. I think Grifter's quite cool. And I think this again kind of seems like it's going to go Batman in future state, but then we're going to find out what happens to him in future past. Because it's
this isn't going down the X-Men route.
Batman future past.
Because
I see the homage cover coming on.
So we've got Batman, the Dark Detective here, right? So obviously in future state, the beginning of it, everyone thinks Bruce Wayne's dead, right? Everyone thinks Batman's dead. Luke Fox is the new Batman, but in this comic, it proves it wrong because he's alive, and we see him in like this cyberpunk-esque alley type of thing, and we find out he's here. So how is this going to tie into the Batman of future past, if that makes sense?
It probably won't, mate. It probably won't. Like the thing is, the shame with this book is I think it's a really, really good book, and I actually love the idea of the future state Gotham and by order of the magistrate. I love all of that stuff, but I just feel like it could have just been a different, like a standalone Black Label DC. Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't even need to be this future state. Part of me almost thinks like this has been on the back catalogue for a while. Yeah. They announced future state and just said, "Can we use this story?" And whoever it was dead inside and said, "Yeah, no problem."
I mean, the cover of it, I know Tom's a massive fan of Dan Mora.
Oh, mate, Dan Mora's my hero.
This is, I mean, that's probably...
the bat signal behind him and the fact that it's shined in the front, the bat signal behind him.
And again, this is a double feature comic as well.
Yeah. I think it's a combination on this, mate, is Jordie Bellaire and Dan Mora. So they done Buffy the Vampire Slayer together, and some of the colour work by Jordie Bellaire in this is the best that I've seen in some time. It's unbelievable.
I love rain on a cover. I love rain on a Batman book. Like I like to see stuff dripping off Batman's cowl or costume or whatever. So easy. It was I really like the Magistrate thing as well. Who do we reckon Magistrate number 1 is?
Clown Hunter.
Don't say that just to please.
And he's coming for you, mate, dressed like that.
Oh, I'm having wig malfunctions now since I took it off.
He's after, but yeah, this tells the story of the former Batman, Bruce Wayne, who we thought was dead, but he's clearly not.
The thing is, the one thing they don't touch on is how long has he been suspected dead?
Yeah,
and that was the only one of the things I was criticist about this. It's like they don't touch on how long he's been missing and how long he's been out of action as Batman.
Yeah,
so the next Batman is in this as well.
The whole thing's not clear. Like when they're set, like what they should do is literally have like a whole. I'd have like a whole page or like one big panel that's like May 2052 or whatever at the beginning of every single book in this series, so that you know. And that's kind of exciting for fans as well, because then you can kind of put it in order yourself. And do you know what I mean? Like, they're just.
Well, if you go over to Geeky Guy's channel and watch, I think one of his videos, he actually talks about what kind of era they are and what year.
Oh, I'm not subscribed to that guy.
Oh, you should do. You should definitely do.
I will check it out, sir. I will check it out.
Put it this way: this isn't the first time that comic deals covered my face.
Nice. That's a lovely. That's a lovely.
You should have put the clown makeup on.
It's one of my favourite images.
Segue.
But so what did we all think of this? I mean,
I liked it as a Batman comic, as a Future State comic. I was like, unnecessary to put Future State on the title.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I would have liked to see this. I would have liked to see this as a continued run instead of just being a 2-issue. I'd like to see how this would continue side by side with the Batman run currently going on.
Yeah.
I mean, because for this to end at 106, it's going to be like DC must have thought, how are we going to all tie this in? Like it ends, the last comic of the Future State run is Wonder Woman. Because obviously it all started with her at Death Metal, and it ends with her at Death Metal number 7. It all starts with her with the first comic of this. It's going to end with her. I mean, Batman's their main moneymaker, their main go-to guy, and they've just I think they've ruined it. It was a good comic, but as I said, I would like to see it as a continuous series run instead of just 2 issues.
I think if they'd have done this as like this is the next issue of Batman, so 106 would have been this, and it's like shot you into the future. And then it's like a backtrack of how he got there.
Yeah,
that would have been better. And then to turn out like maybe the magistrate is what's his name? You know, the new guy they've just introduced in the white cloak.
Oh, the ghost.
The ghost
maker.
That's it. Yeah,
ghost maker.
That would have been cool. Like he's taken over the whole city, and Batman's now an outsider in his own city. That would have been a cool story. I liked it. I thought it was great. In the fact that it's a Batman story, I liked that. But as like it's going to end in 2 issues, I was like, well, this is a bit pointless, really. What is the point in this? I would have liked like 5 or 6 issues.
For me, the highlight of this comic. Sorry, go on, Andy, mate. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, work away, man.
No, go on, mate. I was gonna tie it up. Go on.
I was going to say that I think we're giving DC too much credit that they'll tie all this in and it'll all make sense. I reckon by the end of Future State and the 2 issues are done, we will look back and go, what just happened there? And we'll be searching our wallets going, why have we spent all this money?
It will be the same as a lot of the stuff at DC where they do multiverse stuff, and by the end of it, it all just goes back to Flash, just like, oh, what do I do? I'll run somewhere else, and it will just sit in a Flash, comic. That's what
Flashpoint Part 2.
Yeah.
But the highlight for me for this comic was this guy.
Yes.
I like him. I like the grift. I like Grifter. I want to see how if anything can come from this Future State, I'd like to see the grifters in the main comic. He's already made his appearance.
Grifter don't even look that different, though. Like they've not like featured him up that much, have they?
But is he meant to be? Because obviously he's fighting the old Batman. He's fighting the old Batman, and Grifter and Batman have already had an altercation in, was it 102 on the rooftop?
102 or something like that.
So if this seems to be like a continuation of the story, but then I'd like to see the grifters move over. I mean, we've got the Ghostmaker, we've got Clown Hunter, we've got Grifter, but I think he's a great character. He's a lovable bastard.
Yes, he really is.
He is.
Your hairstyle, mate.
He's featured on that artwork, isn't he? That's previewing, the next stage of Batman. He's on that, and guess who isn't?
Future
Batman.
State.
Nowhere to be seen.
But I think that was like, I thought it was a strong release this week of comics. I think that was like,
They're
we
all
did
right.
well. We were all right. I honestly, I think Future State is going to be an absolute flash in the pan, and then we'll, as Andy said, we'll look back at it and think, I've just spent 70 quid on these comics. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Dollar bin books.
All second prints just because they're cool covers.
Yeah.
I hate covers as well that are covered with like a banner with the event and things like that. Like, it's just, I just wanted to get it off my chest.
It's no imagination as well. That's what it's the same with the King in Black as well. There's no imagination. They've just basically cut and pasted an image and slotted it in, and it's the same border and stuff like that. It's just boring.
Yeah,
and I think it's all gonna end shit. I think there was like
positivity 2021.
For me, there was no need to do it. There was no need to do it in my eyes. It weren't. I mean, maybe they need to do something different to keep up with like Image, IDW, Boom Studios. But at the end of the day, after reading this, I'm still gonna Boom Studios, IDW, Image. They're still going to be on the top of my pull list every week.
I didn't realise all the negative press around DC at the moment, and creators are publicly kind of posting stuff saying about the the problems. So we'll see.
But I mean, I think yeah, go on. And
no, I was just going to say, I think what I would have preferred to see is all the money that DC spent on the artists, the writers, and stuff like that, and specifically the cover artists as well, is if they'd have taken all that money and got the same up and coming artists and writers and let them loose, not necessarily on Batman and all the usual suspects, but something new, and like had a go at Boom Studios and had a go at Scout Comics.
Well, that's what I thought this Future State was going to be, because it's only a short run of 2 issues per character or per series. I thought they were just literally going to go, right, here's the Youngblood. Here you go. Do what you want with the characters, because we're just going to reset it after 2 issues anyway.
Exactly.
But it's still do another version of Batman, do another version of Wonder Woman, do another version of Flash. Like, it's so unimaginative. Do you know what I mean? And again, coming back to kind of me as like a right-wing like continuity fan who reads this shit every week, like the one of the characters I've been most drawn to in the last year is Clown Hunter, who's a brand new character. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it just goes to show, I think it's time, I think, maybe DC and Marvel, if you're watching, because you obviously are, to maybe just let go. Of a lot, and really, I think now's the time, that because ultimately, us nerds are, we're getting older and more cynical, and if they want new fan base, I think a lot of the kids kind of, it's almost like they're struggling to make Batman relevant and Wonder Woman relevant and cool. So instead of trying desperately to do that, just make a new character. Like a new Wonder Woman, she doesn't even need to be called Wonder Woman.
No.
You could have put her in a slightly different outfit. The design is quite cool. You don't necessarily need the W there. If you took that away, if you gave her a different name, that would have been an incredible new book and an incredible new character.
That's my favourite one of all the Future State, and I think it doesn't tie into any others, really.
Yeah. Or what you could do is you could just go ahead and kill Batman, kill all those characters, like actually kill them. Because what actually sells is nostalgia, and all of us guys would buy books that had a nostalgia twist and spend all the money on new stories, new characters. There you go, DC, you can have that one for free.
Well,
you're welcome.
Don't do more Miles, because like Miles Morales to me is our generation's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So what they should do is continue.
Speak for yourself, pal. Some of us are a bit older.
Aren't you younger than me, Ben?
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah, Ben, you don't look at that over 45, mate. Keep doing what you're doing.
I think I'm the oldest.
No way.
No, I'm 35.
I'm 38.
Okay, yeah, you're the oldest.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, see guys, it pays to shave your head.
Makes him look much younger.
I'm 50.
And with that said, before Andy falls asleep,
He's a pipe to slip.
The only reason I'm going to fall asleep is because of some of the comments that James and has made. That's the only reason I'll be falling asleep today.
so what have you guys got coming up on your shows this week? Tom?
Well, I've got another key video coming out on Tuesday where I'm going to run down the key issues that come out for week 3 of January. Oh, God, I'm right on the big screen. And then on Saturday, this Saturday, we should be dropping our 3rd issue or 3rd episode of our Ross Ritchie interview. So that should be quite a good one because he actually interviews me in this one.
Oh,
cool.
That's going to be pretty interesting. They've been great so far. If any of you in the chat want to find out how fantastic Boom Studios are, what a great guy Ross Ritchie is, and what a fantastic gang Not Quite Mint are, you've hit all 3 on the head there. So head over to that. Andy?
Yeah, so I'm expecting my first delivery from CGC this coming Monday. So my plan is to go live and reveal the grades for those books. Something Is Killing the Children #1 is one of those books, so I'm really excited to see what that comes up. And other than that, it's just going to be going live, jumping on people's channels like I did today, and doing lots of stuff on Instagram, which is perpetual.comics on Instagram. So go subscribe to me and go and follow me and like me and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Sweet. And
so
over to the friendly, creepiest clown I think I've ever laid eyes on.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
So my immediate plans are to go stand in the neighbour's garden. Some there, and then after that, I'm on Instagram. So give us a follow at Attention Seeking Geek. I basically post daily comic book acquisitions, various kind of weird photoshops of myself, because there's no conventions on at the moment, so I've got nothing better to do with my costumes. And yeah, just various kind of self-indulgent goodness. So give us a follow.
That is great. And obviously me, I've got my top comic releases video every Monday at 12 o'clock midday GMT that drops, and it goes through all the comics that are coming out through the week. I know Ben relies on that heavily.
I genuinely do now. It's like it's
doesn't know what's coming out or what we're reading.
It's
Exactly.
like I rely on a couple of things like the news, my wife cooking me dinner, and you doing those videos every week. So.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that all the effort that I do on a Sunday night pays off, and I've got you guys watching it. It's been, I finally think I found my niche now, so that is consistent. There'll be 52 videos of that this year going out.
Nice.
So there'll be one every week for the whole year. That's what I'm kind of sticking
And you
to.
will be lucky if I do one video this year.
Well, I will be very pleasantly surprised if you do.
We'll see.
And then on Thursdays, the Killer Comic Show, Season 2, Episode 2, where we review comics spoiler-free-ish, kind of-ish.
I think you were nearly there today. I think there was just a couple of lapses, but you nearly did it. So you're going in the right direction. I'm proud of you, son.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to call you Boggle Boink the Clown.
Boggle Boink.
Boggle Boink the Clown. And yeah, on that note, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you all have a great week. And for everyone in the chat, all the links of these fantastic people will be in the comment section below. So make sure you hit them up on Instagram, YouTube. I think there's a comic book shop called notquitemint.com, and they also sell really skin tight t-shirts. So if you want to get one of them, you might be able to get your hands on one of them modeled so sexily by Tom from Not Quite Mint. But guys, it's been fantastic. Enjoy doing this for you. And as always, if I don't see you for a week, I'll see you through the Geeky window. Ciao.